My daughter got her mother-in-law a vacation and $20,000 ring for Mother's Day. A message and $5 plastic flower arrived. She phoned me 28 times the next day. Mom, don't sell the business. I appreciate your presence. To check how far my narrative has gone, remark the city you're viewing from and finish my story. I thought I'd had every heartbreak at 67. Was incorrect. Mother's Day began like any Sunday. Wake up in my empty house, make coffee for one, and try not to reflect about how quiet it had been since George died 3 years ago. Silence used to soothe me, but recently it reminded me of all the discussions that would never happen again. The night before, Mira phoned in a reserved manner. Mom, tomorrow is brunch at Michael's mother's place. Please attend. 1 sharp. Do come. That's a duty disguised as an invitation, not we'd love to have you. I got at Veronica's place at 1. I heard laughing from the backyard and saw fancy automobiles in the driveway. Veronica was always my opposite. Polished, sociable, effortlessly elegant. White marble and fresh flowers made her house appear like a magazine. I noticed them at the patio table when I entered the gate. Mira sat next to Veronica, heads close, laughing privately. My son-in-law Michael grilled like Veronica's loving son. Veronica phoned Janice, her smile flawless with practice. I'm delighted you came. Mira glanced up and nodded. Hi, Mom, you can sit there. She pointed to an empty chair at the end of the table away from the talk. I calmly sat and watched everyone talk about stuff I didn't know. The children of Michael's sister were there. Veronica's neighbors and bridge club mates. Everyone but me fit in. The gift exchange followed. Oh, Veronica, you get something exceptional. Mira sprang up with eagerness I hadn't seen in years. Michael arrived beside her with a velvet box and envelope. She gasped as Veronica opened the box. A magnificent diamond ring caught light from across the room. Oh, Mira, this is excessive. It's not much for the mother of such a great boy. Veronica was hugged as Mira gushed. And more. The letter included cruise tickets for 2 weeks in the Mediterranean in top class. Veronica wept and everyone cheered as Mira smiled. I felt a chill in my gut. $20,000, perhaps more. Michael spoke of Grandma Janice, though his voice waned. Mira approached me with a tiny gift package. It included a dollar store plastic flower and a card that appeared to have been plucked off a drugstore rack at the last minute. Opening the card, the print said, Happy Mother's Day. Below, Mira wrote, Thanks for everything, Mom. I appreciate everything, like a grocery store clerk. Silence at the table. I could feel everyone watching my reaction. Veronica coughed uncomfortably. Michael appeared humiliated. I whispered, It's great. I appreciate it, sweetheart. Mira had already turned to Veronica and began an exuberant narration about their cruise itineraries. I held my $5 plastic flower, feeling smaller than I have in years, while the conversation continued without me. I remained another hour while my kid adored a 12-year-old friend and ignored me. Mira scarcely glanced up when I stated I had to go. Mom, thanks for coming. Drive securely. Homeward travel was blurred. I kept thinking about that ring, those cruise tickets, and Mira's obvious excitement when she handed them. When did she last look at me like that? She last thought about anything she gave me when? I parked in my driveway and stared at that awful plastic flower for a while. 43 years as her mother, and this was my worth. One final minute clearance aisle afterthought. I couldn't sleep that night. I replayed the scene, wondering what went wrong. I developed a profitable firm from nothing, hired many, and helped my community. However, I'd failed at the most important thing. To earn my daughter's affection, I got up and headed to my home office, where I stored all my life's work, financial statements, tax returns, company contracts, etc. I wondered why I'd constructed all this. The dust. A restless night became a week. I kept thinking about that plastic flower and how Mira had gazed at Veronica with love. I felt it like a pain. I needed answers, real solutions, not from conflict or drama. Type seen in bank statements and historical receipts. The next Saturday, I pulled out file cabinets I hadn't touched in years at my workplace. George called me a pack rat for saving every receipt and paper. I'd warn him you never know when you'll need proof. I never thought I'd need motherhood proof. Mira College was my first file. I found tuition, housing and board, and scores of other forgotten costs. Books, a laptop, and university parking tickets. $47,000, not including the automobile I purchased her junior year when hers broke down. That was only the start. Wedding O&D folder was discovered, $58,000 daily. Venue, flowers, food, clothing, photographer. I insisted on paying for everything to make her day great. Michael's parents gave a case of wine. Next came house files. After getting married, Mira and Michael decided to buy a riverside house. The house they desired required more than their combined salary for the mortgage. So I co-signed. When Michael's firm struggled 2 years later, I secretly took up the mortgage payments for 6 months. I never told them I insured that. Then came automobile payments, 3 cars across the years. Each is a loan till we recover. I never asked for those loans to be returned. I gently added the contributions to my regular bills, but the emergency fund really hit me. Michael's landscaping nearly failed in 2019. He'd made unwise investments and trusted the wrong people. They faced bankruptcy. Mira contacted me crying for rescue. I deposited $85,000 that day. A mother aiding her child, no contracts or payment arrangements. They acquired the yacht 6 months later. I sat back and watched the calculator. I gave or spent approximately $400,000 on Mira and Michael over 15 years. I stopped monitoring education, wedding, home, vehicles, business bailouts, and many minor costs years ago. $400,000, more than most people see in a lifetime. I got a plastic flower yesterday. Money wasn't the worst. Over time, I developed a thriving consulting business with smart investments. I could afford generosity. Realizing Mira had forgotten my gift was heartbreaking. Expected, assumed. I looked over our text discussions from last year on my phone. Her quick messages were useful. Can you pick up dry cleaning? Please lend Michael your vehicle. The kids need school supplies. Always asking, never giving. Never a random bam, how are you, mom, or thinking about you. But Veronica got diamond rings and cruise tickets. I checked Mira's mortgage on my laptop, naturally in my name. I didn't have to think about the payments because they were automatic from my company account years ago. I reviewed the monthly statements for that company account line by line. My 3 business properties were lawned by Michael's grass service. I paid him 30% more than market rate but never mentioned it. Mira earned $1,200 a month doing part-time bookkeeping for my smaller clients for 6 hours. They weren't simply my daughter and son-in-law, my dependents, in their 30s who lived off my money. In their tale, I became the villain, the absent mother who couldn't relate to their life. They lived off my charity and portrayed me as cold and detached. I shut down the laptop and surveyed my workplace. The wall was plastered in photos of me at corporate events, Chamber of Commerce awards, and business success stories. But there were no current photos of Mira and myself. She stopped requesting photographs with me years ago. Desk clock read 4:30 p.m. After 8 hours of document review, the situation was brutally plain. I spent years attempting to purchase my daughter's love, but all I did was educate her. I was a moneymaker. The phone buzzed. Text from Alia. Michael's truck broke down. Mom, can we use yours for a few days? I pondered the message before answering. I'll consider. The first time in years, I didn't immediately agree. I made a life-changing choice that night. I rang my attorney. I sat across from Margaret Chen, my 12-year attorney, on Monday morning. Her office looked downtown, and I could see my building from her window, a reminder of my decades of work. Margaret commented, "Janice, you look tired," sitting at her desk sipping tea. "Your thoughts?" I'd practiced this talk all weekend, but sitting there seemed overwhelming. Talking about selling my business. Margaret raised her eyebrows. Hartwell Consulting, but you built it in 30 years. Your legacy. That's the issue, I whispered. I need to know how selling might affect my family. Margaret's demeanor changed as she understood this wasn't a casual question. Professional mask on. She took out a legal pad. Explain your worries, she said. Over the next hour, I presented my findings. Mortgage payments, company contracts, my unwitting financial reliance. Margaret took notes, asked clarifying questions, and kept a neutral look. Finally, she argued, selling the firm would mean Michael losing his main commercial contracts, Mira losing her bookkeeping income, and they having to qualify for their mortgage separately. Exactly. Margaret reclined. Janice, what caused this? Last time we met, you mentioned growing the business and maybe partnering with Mira. I discussed Mother's Day, the artificial flower, and the diamond jewelry. Years of feeling like a walking ATM. Margaret listened without interruption, cringing at certain aspects. After I finished, she remarked, "I see. You're considering selling to find out who my daughter is. I'm not sure if she likes me or my checkbook." Margaret nodded slowly. "This can be done gradually. Restructuring your business is possible. Transfer some financial support over time." "No," I insisted. "Gradual change provides individuals time to adapt and control the circumstance. To achieve this, it must be clean." It took another hour to discuss logistics. Margaret knew consultants in business broking. The procedure may take 3-6 months, depending on how swiftly we progressed. I requested total secrecy. No one knows until the deal is done. "Janice, once you do this, you can't go back." Do you anticipate Mira's reaction? That plastic flower on my kitchen counter sprang to mind. I expect her to reveal herself. That afternoon, I made small tweaks. I phoned Michael's landscaping firm to investigate transferring my commercial properties services. "Budget limits," I said. "I need competitive bids." Instant terror in his voice. "We can negotiate, Mrs. Hartwell. Perhaps decrease our rates." "That's not about rates, Michael. Exploring alternatives." Next, I phoned my smaller Mira bookkeeping clients. I informed them I was reorganizing my referrals and they had 60 days to locate other services. Professional, businesslike, no personal comments. The nighttime call from Mira was tense. "Mom, Mrs. Patterson stated you're not recommending bookkeepers. I did anything wrong?" "Not at all, sweetie. I'm streamlining my business. I need those clients. That's my pay." "You'll discover more chances," I said quietly. "Your skills are great." The silence was lengthy. "Everything okay, Mom? You're acting strangely." "No problem, Mira, just working on business." I stared at that fake flower in my kitchen after hanging up. First time in years, I felt something nearly forgotten. Control. Instead of writing checks or addressing issues, make your own decisions. The following weeks were routine. After meeting with possible purchasers and reviewing financial documents, I began to separate my business from my daughter's lifestyle. Margaret handled most of the legal work, but I wanted to be engaged in every decision. Secrecy was toughest. Though I should have, I'd never been adept at hiding things from Mira. But this felt different, felt essential. After 3 weeks, Michael called. "Mrs. Hart, a Chamber of Commerce employee told me you may be selling your firm, is it?" My speech was steady despite my heartbeat. "Michael, gossip happens. If you sold, you'd tell us, right? Our contracts would be affected. Any big business choices I make will be communicated to you." Mira arrived at my home that night. She was fatigued, her hair messy, and wearing a college sweatshirt. Pushing past me into the living room, she continued, "Mom, we need to talk. My bookkeeping clients, Michael's contracts, and rumors concerning your business sale. What's happening?" Sitting across from her, I folded my hands. Reassessing my priorities. That means what? It indicates I'm 67 and weary of doing everyone else's work. Mira flushed. "About Mother's Day? About the gift? Maybe you didn't like it, but we're tight on money." I nearly laughed. Financially strapped while living in a house I bought, driving automobiles I bought, and doing jobs I organized. I didn't say that. I immediately looked at her and said, "Mira, this isn't about one day. Understanding what's important." She departed 20 minutes later, puzzled and irritated. I watched her drive the car I co-signed back to the house where I paid the mortgage, but not for long. I received the call on Tuesday morning while examining the final purchase agreement. Margaret sold to a larger consulting business eager to grow regionally. The offer was considerable, beyond my expectations. The phone rang as I signed the preliminary paperwork. Funny, I was in Margaret's workplace and the caller ID displayed my home number. "Hello, Mrs. Hartwell. James Morrison of Morrison & Associates. The Hartwell Consulting purchase is my reason for contacting you." Blood chilled. "I'm sorry. This is who? James Morrison. My business does acquisition due diligence. I could have called the incorrect number, trying to reach your office. You phoned me home. I'm sorry. They stated they were your helper. They let me talk about the sale. Closed my eyes. Only one individual had my house key. I only got one person to answer my call and pretend to be in charge. I appreciate your call, Mr. Morrison. Send any future communications to Margaret Chen, my attorney." I hung up and phoned home. It rang 4 times before Mira answered. "Mom's residence, Mira. Why are you in my house?" A pause. Then her voice altered entirely. I assumed Mom was at a meeting. Watering your plants I came by. None of my plants require watering. Another pause, this time longer. All right, looking for something. Michael mentioned he might require your old tax records. My phone kept ringing, so you answered. Thought it could matter. In her voice, falsehoods were collapsing. Mira, I'm coming. We must discuss. I drove 15 minutes from Margaret's office to my house, but it seemed like hours. I replayed that phone call as if Mira were my assistant, allowed to discuss secret business concerns. The boldness was staggering. Mira's vehicle was in my driveway when I arrived. At my desk, she was surrounded by documents in my home office. She faced me with defiance and guilt as I entered. Found what you wanted? I requested. She pointed to documents. What's this, Mom? Really selling the company? I went over and collected purchase agreements, bank statements, confidentiality paperwork, and everything else she shouldn't have seen. These are private business affairs. Private? Mom, this impacts everyone. Michael's business needs your contracts. I make money via recommendations. You must consult us before selling. I stopped gathering papers and stared at her. She was 35, sitting at my desk, demanding answers for my business decisions. When did I allow this? Yes, Mira. I can sell my business without consulting anybody. The firm is mine. What about us? What about our family? What about our family? The question was repeated gently. You started caring for our family when? Her face reddened. I always cared. My mother. Am I? Am I your bank? Silence spread between us. I heard the neighbor's dog barking. Normal life continued when mine collapsed. Mira spoke again with a lower voice. Mom, I apologize for Mother's Day problems. We can do something unique next year. Next year? Said softly. Like the year after that and the next. Always respect me next year. Sitting in the chair across from my desk, I stared at my daughter as if for the first time. How much have I given you and Michael over the years? She shifted awkwardly. We never requested tracking. $400,000, excluding your mortgage, Michael's company contracts, and your income from referrals. Mira's mouth expanded and closed. She must have been surprised by my figures. I'm not telling you this to guilt you, I said. I need you to comprehend this. I've supported you your whole life, but you stopped viewing me as your mother and started seeing me as a resource. Not true, is it? When was the last time you phoned to chat? Do you remember last asking how I was? How I handled your father's death? Was I lonely in this large empty house? Little crumples on her face. Mom, it wasn't about money when Veronica received a $20,000 ring and cruise and I got a plastic flower. It was about thinking, care, and thoughtfulness. You considered Veronica's gift more than mine. She started crying. I couldn't stop. Words have accumulated for years. You consider Veronica family because she doesn't offer you anything. You must win her love. I'm supposed to support and facilitate your lifestyle without question. I love you, Mom, she murmured. Do you like what I can do for you? That question puzzled her. Both understood why. My phone rang, disturbing the long stillness. The caller ID read Michael. Do not answer, Mira said hurriedly, answering the phone. Hello, Michael. Mrs. Hartwell. I learned about the business sale via Mira. The family must discuss this. This choice impacts everyone. It doesn't, Michael. It impacts me. My job is to sell, but contracts are our existence. I've taken care of your livelihood too long. Both of you need self-care. I hung up and stared at Mira, who was gazing at me like she'd never seen me. You can't be serious, Mom. I've never been more serious about anything. That sparked her panic. The next morning, my phone rang at 6:47 a.m. The screen displayed Mira's name. Leave it on voicemail. It rang repeatedly. When I finished my coffee, she'd phoned 12 times. I answered the 13th call. Mom, please, we must discuss this. We discussed yesterday, Mira. I think I explained well. You can't ruin our lives over a Mother's Day present. Sitting down with my coffee, I felt the old rage rise. You realize this has nothing to do with one gift. Then what? You want what from me? Please note that I'm not your ATM. I want you to perceive me as a person, not a donor. I perceive you as human. My mother. When did you last treat me like one? Silence then. Mom, selling the business will ruin us. The house, Michael's contracts, my clients. We must restart. Yes, you will. That could be all you need. She phoned 20 minutes later after hanging up, again and again. I stopped counting after 15 calls. Each voicemail repeated a theme: negotiating, threatening, manipulating. She tried every strategy she'd learned. Please call me, Mom. We can resolve this. Mom, worry is causing Michael's chest trouble. Do you want him hospitalized? Sorry about the flower, Mom. I'll compensate you. Don't sell the firm. Mom, everyone will think you're harsh and vengeful. Is that how you want to be remembered? She phoned 28 times by midday. Since I started counting, I knew. Each call showed her desperation. She finally grasped my message. Her survival depended on my generosity, and I was weary of being taken for granted. The doorbell rang at 2:30. Through the peephole, I noticed Mira on my doorstep with red, puffy eyes. Michael loomed behind her, his face raw with wrath. I opened the door but didn't welcome them. Mom, please, Mira began instantly. We should discuss this like grown-ups. We attempted it yesterday. Conversation didn't interest you. You wanted my private documents and pretended to be my assistant. Michael advanced. No offense, Mrs. Hartwell, but this affects more than you. We have family concerns. Me too, I whispered. My family's best interests must be considered. Right now, you should all learn to stand on your own. Her face collapsed. I plead, Mom. Avoid doing this. You beseech me. Did you ask me how I was doing recently? Last time you invited me to supper without a holiday obligation? When was the last time you phoned to say you love me? She opened and closed her mouth. Everyone knew the answer. I thought so. You only call when needed, go only when you need anything. You only care when you're losing. Michael finally raged. This is absurd. You're punishing us for our achievement and life together. Successful? I laughed but saw no comedy. Michael, you're 37 and have never paid you home mortgage. The task I organized for Mira is her sole income. You call that successful? Her voice broke. Mira added, We name it family. Families help. Help is reciprocal. How have you helped me, Mira? What have you given this family but taking? This question hung like a challenge. Mira glanced at Michael and then at me, looking for an unseen answer. She eventually said, I gave you grandkids. You didn't. You visit twice a year from 3 states away. I haven't seen Tommy or Sarah in 8 months. Her face blanched. Even Michael seemed uneasy. What does family look like? I continued. Veronica's family calls weekly. Without invitation, they visit. They recall her birthday without prompting. Because they know her tastes, they offer her thoughtful presents. So she got the ring on the vacation. She's valued because of that. Though Mira was weeping, I couldn't stop. Years of hurt were flooding forth. I built a business for 30 years to support my family. I wanted to provide you stability, chances, and a better life than mine. You stopped enjoying my gifts and started demanding them. You saw me as a resource instead of a person. She pleaded with Mom. I'm sorry. I'll improve. I stated you're terrified and apologetic. You're not regretful since you know your mistake. Michael grasped Mira's arm. Please, we're wasting time. She's decided. Mira retreated. No, wait. I hadn't seen her with that face in years. Real vulnerability. Want anything from me, Mom? Tell me how to remedy this. I regarded my daughter. Really regarded her. 35, bawling on my porch, finally asking the correct question. Too late. You should discover yourself without my money. I want you to cherish non-transactional connections. I want you to know that love isn't about gifts, then what? Will you reconsider if I do that? I shook my head slowly. Mira, I'm not selling the business to punish you. I'm selling it for freedom. I'm 67 and want to experience life without being accountable for others' choices. Standing back, I began closing the door. Mother, wait, called out. I adore you. I hesitated, holding the doorknob. Mira, I adore you too. So I'm doing this. They drove away after I locked the door and listened to her wail on my porch for 10 minutes. The transaction would close in 2 weeks. 3 months after the sale, I watched the sunset paint the lake gold and pink from my new cottage porch. Though smaller, the house was mine in a way the old one wasn't. No disappointed memories or rooms. I was surprised how straightforward the relocation was. Boxed up 30 years of company data, contracts, and letters. Only a few pictures, George's favorite books, and my mother's quilt for Mira were retained. The cottage was furnished, which was ideal. I didn't want my past to affect my new life. The previous owners left basic, comfortable furnishings and a lawn to care. I never had time to plant before, but now I did. Mira hadn't called 6 weeks. Though painful, quiet gave insight. I'd measured my value by her approval, visits, and wants for years. I was now measuring it by my own peace of mind. Money from the business sale was enough for a comfortable retirement. I set up a trust for my grandchildren's schooling, giving them money at 18 without restrictions or parental access. My approach of giving them opportunity without aiding their parents. As a last severance, I secretly paid off Mira and Michael's house mortgage. They owned their home free and clear, but they knew I'd never pay them again. The final check I wrote for them. My phone interrupted my thoughts. I checked the caller ID, Susan, my lakeside neighbor. Over a month of morning walks and evening wine, we became friends. Can Janice join us for supper tomorrow? Please meet my son and daughter-in-law who are visiting. I'd enjoy that, I responded, realizing I meant it. Susan's bond with her kids was like mine never was. Natural, mutual, based on love, not duty. After hanging up, I drank wine and went to the pier. Still water reflected the final light of day. A duck family paddled by, the young following their mother in perfect line. Text messages buzzed my phone. My heart raced, thinking it was Mira. But it was from Margaret, my attorney. You might want to know. Michael's gardening company declared bankruptcy yesterday. Mira hopes to work in the primary school. How are you? I pondered the message before answering. Am going good. Thanks for telling me. I felt sorry for them, not guilty. Now they were learning to accept the consequences like everyone else. A loon's mournful howl echoed off the hills beyond the lake. I'd never heard the sound before moving here. While managing everyone else's life, I never experienced many things. I started a local pottery lesson tomorrow. Next week I joined a book group. Though little, they were mine. Things intrigued me not because someone else needed me to perform them. I felt light in my new existence, which was bizarre. I carried other people's issues, stupid judgments, and financial hardships for years. I assumed weight was love. But no, enabling wounded us all. I learned that real love sometimes meant no. It sometimes required letting individuals struggle to grow. Walking away to gather strength was sometimes necessary. 6 months later, I received a handwritten note. The return address was Mira's, but her handwriting was more purposeful. Dear Mom, it began. I struggled to compose this letter for months, not knowing what to say. I kept wanting you to come back to repair things and make everything right, but I realized it wasn't healthy for anybody. I put the letter down and inhaled before continuing. I'm divorcing Michael. You undoubtedly heard about my bankruptcy and schoolwork, the hardest and most honest year of my life. Without your money and safety net, I had to discover myself. I had to learn self-care. I'm not requesting anything, I apologize. Excuse me for taking you for granted. I'm sorry for treating you like a duty. I apologize for the years I wasted being furious at you for things you didn't do. Now I see why you sold the firm. You didn't punish me. You liberated us. I regret waiting so long to watch it. No one is forcing you to forgive me. I finally get what you were saying. Family isn't about giving or receiving. Show up, listen, and care for someone for who they are, not what they can accomplish for you. I hope Mom's happy. I hope you find peace. You merit it. Love, Mira. I saved the plastic flower on my kitchen windowsill. Every time I see it, I recall your face that day. I remember realizing I broke your heart. Sorry it took me so long to think about changing it. I sat on my porch watching the sunset over the sea for a long time after receiving that letter. Once inside, I composed a response. I started, Mira. I appreciate your letter. It means more to me than you know, yet I didn't mail it that day or the next. Safely reopening certain wounds requires complete healing. Some relationships require room to be rebuilt on truth rather than duty. We could meet again someday. For now, I was happy to be free, not guilty, devoid of manipulation, no longer exhausted by attempting to purchase love that should have been offered freely. I was 67 and living my own life for the first time in decades. Enough was enough. I wonder about you who listened to my narrative. If you were me, what would you do? Have you experienced something similar? Remark below. I'll leave 2 more channel favorites on the last screen, which will surprise you, for watching thus far.